Here's a request sent to me on a video that proves gravity to be false. Okay guys, you asked for it.
The sun is said to be 864,400 miles across. It is also said that the sun is 109 times the diameter of Earth.
So in the beginning of this video he just states some numbers and stuff, so I'm just gonna skip to the good part.
The sun's gravitational pull is what we are told keeps all the planets in their respected orbits. And we are also told that this force called gravity keeps the moon rotating around the Earth.
Okay dude, no need for the dramatic music.
So then the question becomes, when the moon is between the Earth and sun, why does the sun's gravitational pull, which is so great, why does the sun's gravitational pull not then steal away the moon from the Earth?
Well, the answer is very simple, because the moon is much closer to the Earth. Yeah, surprised? The gravitational force is dependent on the distance after all.
Apparently the sun's gravity is so strong it can hold much larger planets than Earth in its orbit at much further distances. For instance, Jupiter is said to be so large that it is 2.5 times as massive as the rest of the planets in the solar system combined. So if the sun's gravity can hold a massive gas giant like Jupiter in the 5th position of our solar system, then why can't the sun's gravity steal away a tiny moon that is much closer than Jupiter?
Alright buddy, clearly you don't understand physics, so I'm gonna have to explain it to you. Let's take a look at this gravity equation that depicts the forces between two objects. I'm sure most people already know what these letters stand for, but since you're a flat earther, you probably didn't pass high school, so here it is. G is the gravitational constant, equal to 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11. M1 and M2 are the masses of the objects respectively. R is the distance between the objects, and F is the force. As you can see, since radius is in the denominator, the force of gravity is inversely proportional to the radius between the two objects. In other words, the further out it is, the smaller the force of gravity. Meanwhile, you said, and I quote, apparently the sun's gravity is so strong it can hold much larger planets than Earth in its orbit at much farther distances. So immediately I can see we have a problem here. Jupiter's mass doesn't mean it's more difficult for the sun to pull it towards itself. It would mean it's easier, as represented by this equation. But let's be real, these planets and the moon are in orbit, and it stays in orbit depending on two different factors, the gravitational force and the tangent velocity. It's the balance between these two factors that determine if the object will be in orbit or not. If the velocity is much greater than gravity, then the planet will spiral out of the orbit. If the gravity is much greater, then the planet will fall and crush into the sun. The only thing you're doing here is looking at gravity without looking at the other important factor. It's important, okay?
Are we to believe that the Earth's gravitational pull on the moon is stronger than the sun's gravitational pull?
So I did some calculations with the gravity equation, and yes, you are correct to doubt that. The gravitational pull the sun has on the moon is greater than the gravitational pull the Earth has on the moon. So why doesn't the sun just steal away the moon? Well, technically it kinda has, without actually stealing it. Let me explain. The moon actually is orbiting the sun. That's right, if you follow the pattern of the moon in a year, it moves around the sun just like any other planet. So the sun technically does have a grip on the moon already, but remember there's more than one force in play here. The Earth also has a force on the moon, even though it's weaker, so it's favorable for the moon to orbit around the Earth as well. Ultimately, the moon is orbiting both the sun and the Earth, and that makes sense since they both have a significant pull on the moon. It looks like the moon is only orbiting the Earth because we often look at it from the perspective of the Earth, but in reality that's not the case.
Inconsistencies in the heliocentric model like these easily prove that Newton's so-called law of universal gravitation is entirely false.
Your video is titled, Gravity Proven False in 2 Minutes. Look, even if you somehow disprove all our mathematical equations involving gravity, that doesn't make gravity false or unreal. Gravity would still exist. You would have only disproven the behavior or laws of gravity we initially thought it was. So no, there's a long road ahead of you for this one. Anyway guys, that's the end of the video. Sorry that this week's video was a little short. I've gotten a little busy lately, but I hope you still enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.